Hello, this is Nazaré coming back to you to do another video. I did a video last week on the subject of the fires to explain why I stopped doing the videos and to tell you that I was impacted by the fires because I lost my home completely. And I was mentioning that I'll be talking to you a little bit about that experience for those so many of us that have lost their homes or have been displaced. So I thought that today I'd talk a little bit about the stages of grief, because what everybody's going through is grief. And grief has several stages that one goes through, not in order, but you just kind of jump up and down from one state to another. And the first stage is denial, which I will explain. It's more like a shock, where you don't really accept what's happened. And then another stage is anger. And another stage is bargaining, which I'll explain also. And then another stage is depression. And then another stage is acceptance. And once you come to acceptance, then you're completed your grief process. But it isn't in order. You can have depression first and anger later. You can have denial first, or you could have denial later. So they alternate. We go through different parts of these stages at different moments. So for example, where I have a therapist that I see for myself, and I saw him the week of the fire, or the week after, I can't remember, but very short after the fire. And when he talked to me, he said later that he was surprised at how well I was doing. He didn't expect me to be doing so well. But in retrospect, I know that what happened is that I was in denial because I was in shock. So in shock, you don't fully take in what's happened. It's as if it hasn't happened. So part of the denial for me would be like, I would think of a piece of jewelry or a bag that I would take to when I bring a book with me when I go out, and my mind would go to where it is located in the house, as if it was still there, as if I could go and grab it. And that was happening to me quite a bit, that things, belongings of mine would come to mind. I would want to use it, or it would come to mind to get it for something, or I would just remember the thing. And then my mind would go to where it's located in the house, as if the house still existed, as if I could go in there and grab it. And in fact, sometimes I even use that language. I said, I know where it is, I know exactly where to get it. So that was me being in denial of the reality, which is, of course, there's no house. I can't go get anything, right? So again, shock is not one of the labeled stages, but in my view, denial is part of the shock. You're in shock, you can't accept it at all. So you basically deny that it has happened psychologically. And then the bargaining refers to a back and forth, as if you could bargain away from the grief. And bargaining is a way to feel a little bit of control. Again, these are normal psychological stages that you go through. And for me, the bargaining, as it happened to me, was that I would think of what I could have done differently. So my mind was constantly thinking of how I could have grabbed something, or I could have taken something because it was very close to where I took something else. Or how I could have gotten a suitcase, different things. How I could have grabbed my grandmother's brooches because I was getting keys from that shelf and it was right by it. So that was me like saying that, like, if I do this, then this would not have happened. That's bargaining. So you going back and forth as if I could do something about it, but I couldn't do anything about it. And then depression is when you're really kind of flat and you don't have much motivation for anything, and there's like a general sadness, but you're pretty low in motivation and pretty flat on your affect. And of course, underneath that, what runs is sadness. And then finally, acceptance. So many people, because it's been 9 months, are still going through these stages. We're not done grieving. And those people that have tried to escape grieving are going to take longer. because you need to go through the process to complete grieving. And you've completed grieving when you come all the way to acceptance, that it really has happened, that you really have no control over it, and you can bargain back and forth on how to do it differently. So that is what is normal to go through. And that has definitely happened to me. The disruption of life also happens when you lose somebody, right? Particularly if you lose a partner or a husband or a wife, your life is completely altered after that happens. So you're displaced from your routines. Even though you may still have them, nothing feels the same. And so that's what's happening with so many people being displaced from their homes, is that there are all kinds of routines that all of us had, and we can't continue them because we're no longer in that house, and there's been a major disruption. And then many of us had to go to other cities. So we can't be in the same city that we were, we can't see our neighbors that we saw, we can't go to the little stores that we used to go to. So all our routines are disrupted, and that is very difficult psychologically. It leaves you feeling like you're a little leaf in the air, floating about, and it's a very disorganizing experience. So that is something that definitely has happened to me, and it's very hard to deal with it. And my recommendation for any of you that are dealing with loss and therefore in grief is that something that would help a lot is to be around people who have had that experience, like a grief group, a loss group. And it's helpful for me and for others and for you if you can talk to people who have had the same experience. So to be in a support group of people that have experienced loss, it doesn't have to be the same loss, but to be with people that have experienced the same loss, in this case, thousands of people who lost their homes, and we understand each other. We understand the process we're going through. And when you find somebody who fully understands it, that feels very good and it helps with the grieving. So talking to someone that understands what you're going through is probably the best medicine. Isolating is very difficult. It makes things worse. So this is the continuation of the video the other day. Again, just to tell you a little bit what grieving is made of, these different stages that apply to any grief and apply to people that have lost their homes to the fires like me. And then letting you know what would be helpful. And that what would be helpful is to recognize when you're in the different stages and accept that stage as okay. If you're angry, it's okay. When you're in denial, you can't help it. You don't choose to be in denial. It just happens. So if you go into a place where it appears in your mind as if that hasn't happened, that's just a natural effect that you not being able to accept that the horror has happened, the loss of the person, the loss of the home, the loss of the property, whatever it might be. So this is just a little advancement on what is happening to all of us that lost their homes, and telling you a little bit more about the psychology of grief. So I hope this helps. And I don't know that my next video, what it's going to be on, I don't know if I'll talk more about my experience with this or just something else. But I'm basically coming back from this disruption and coming back to a routine that I had of making videos. So I'm kind of adjusting with you to making videos again. So it's kind of new again, while before I was in a rhythm. So you're going to go through different expressions of myself, where you may see me looking sadder one day or looking more lively another day, depending on what stage I'm at. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. I hope that you tell people who are grieving, whether it's because of the wildfires in California or some other loss, to watch the video so they can perhaps get a little more information at the normal process of grief. And grief is very difficult to go through. It's a very painful experience. So there's also people that try to escape it. But nobody can really escape it. You can only postpone it. But you can't escape going through those emotions. If you're not feeling those emotions, that means you're somehow cutting off. And then it will happen later. But it is best that you go through the process after it has happened, as soon as possible. so you could get to the other side of acceptance. So that's it for today, a little short on grief and a little update on the loss of the home. I hope this is helpful, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.